Hello there, it's me again, and welcome to Beyond the Cubicle podcast, your favorite podcast. On today's episode, we have a very, very special guest. This young lady, she does it all. She is a brand strategist, an entrepreneur, and a fashionista.
Do you ever build relationships that you can confidently describe as valuable? A couple weeks ago, I was invited to speak at a gathering of over 60 enterprising women in the concierge industry. An invitation I received from Onyeka, my dear friend, convener of Ladipreneurs Connect, and one of my best gifts from my days in university. One thing I love about my relationship with Onyeka is that we are both very intentional about investing in and supporting each other. When Onyeka invited me to speak to women in her community on building confidence and breaking limiting beliefs, it was a no-brainer for me. Not just because I'm passionate about helping women in and rising to roles of leadership develop their confidence, but also because it presented me with the opportunity to do something I also really enjoy doing: networking. As someone who really loves learning about people, this event gave me the opportunity to meet and learn about other enterprising women in business, as well as engage in very insightful and valuable conversations. Onyeka's invitation did not only help me achieve my goal of securing more speaking engagements this year, it also served as a reminder that valuable relationships not only give you opportunities, but also create access. Like it or not, there's really no downside to building authentic and intentional relationships.
Welcome to the show, Onyeka Nwobu. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us on this show. I find something very interesting about your portfolio. A decision you made in 2020, pandemic.
Yeah.
You decided to quit your job.
Yeah.
Your stable job, income was coming, flowing every month. I decided to just quit and become an entrepreneur. What gave you that crazy confidence to make that decision?
Yeah, I think it just really comes down to what I define as stability. I don't think salary gives you stability. I mean, maybe in the short term it would, but I'm someone who I'm very futuristic in my thinking. As I sit here, like, I'm thinking of how I want to build a school that outlives me, for years. I like 100 years, let it still be in existence. To me, that's why I'm building as an entrepreneur. That's stability to me, because you have to sort of factor in your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids. Like, what would your definition of stability mean for them, right? And I think that's why I chose. To be very honest, it was not a very conscious decision, but I think the more I learned about it, the more I saw that is something like entrepreneurship is a better way to think about stability as opposed to getting a salary or a 9-to-5. So yeah.
Interesting. Another thing I noticed is your background experience working with big names like GTB, building their brand image. Yeah. And now you have your own personal brand. Do you see the correlation between your experience you've had with massive companies and how you've been able to harness and build your own personal brand?
Yeah. I would actually really say it's the other way around.
Interesting.
Both for the big brands, small brands, because I realized that it was getting me that brought the branding to them, right? So I am the brand. I'm the person who thinks about branding for them. And to be very honest, I don't say this, I say this with all sense of humility, because when I've built my career and I've learned in doing research, like there was a point in time in which I felt like I was crazy, like for doing what I'm doing. And, it dawned on me after researching that there are very few people that can even do what I do in the way that I do it. And what I mean by that is choosing to say that, you're not just in branding. So if you look at the industry now, you're going to see you're in advertising, right? Yes. So you're going to see you have like brand managers. I'm sure advertising does have some brand strategists as well. But then now removing myself and saying like, I'm going to do this in the context of I'm a brand strategist, but I really majorly operate in the technology space. That's not something that's really being done. It's not a there's quite a few of us, but it's almost like we find ourselves to be anomalies. So when I say that, oh, I am the brand, where I brought the branding to them, I just mean that I see the correlation in that they got that because I became a part of what they were doing. So yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Many people, they have misconceptions about personal brand.
Yeah.
They feel like you are just there to show yourself. See me, look at me.
Yeah.
Right? First thing, can you first of all define what personal branding is and dispel this misconception that people have about personal branding?
Much like company branding, it's really not that different. The only thing that you need to do is sort of switch the context to understand yourself as the company as opposed to like a real company. So how I take myself is like, Onyeka Nwobu is a brand, I'm a company, I'm a business, which means you can see that I do education, I do strategy, I do brand strategy, I'm in education, I'm in women leadership. Think of that as like a company has different products or different sides to it, right? No company that is really like thriving has just one thing that they're doing. So people first need to understand that, and understanding that personal branding is really, how do I put it? I'm still soul searching for how to coin, what it really means. But I would say that it takes you digging deep into your soul. It takes you discovering your purpose, just as a company would need to do in its own branding process. But it takes you discovering what's really inside of me. How is it going to change people's lives? How is it going to create impact? It's not about you. I think that's what people need to understand. Personal branding is not about you. It's about the people on the other end who through hearing your story, their lives will change. Who through encountering whatever it is you decide to build out of yourself, right, will have like that. They're going to move from point A to point B because they encounter that. So I think if I can, while I'm still workshopping around the description of what personal branding is, I can just say like, it's not about you. I mean, yeah, you get to be the face, but then it's really about purpose. Yeah, it's a purpose thing.
Onyeka, you have managed to secure the bag in the sense of your connection. It's heavy. It's hefty, right? And you're very open about women making meaningful connections.
Yeah.
It's something that you're very passionate about.
Yeah. I think in building meaningful connections, in building meaningful relationships, you first have to start with building value for yourself. It's the only thing that attracts people. So the thing about building like connections with people is you have to start from yourself. You have to start by building value. And it's what I try to explain to people. Like, you can't just come and say value. So the way that women are conditioned, it's very unfortunate, but you can't just sit and wallow in the fact that it's unfortunate. You have to educate yourself and enlighten yourself. So the way that we're conditioned, for instance, what is value? Let's say in a professional setting, or you go and you learn a technical skill. I mean, okay stuff that anybody can do in this time and age, what AI can even do, right? So you can do that. Understanding that when you go into the workplace, a business owner, an entrepreneur, doesn't really care that you can write. They can get an intern to do it, or they can get an intern that will tell AI to do it. What is value to them? Okay, you have a network. When they're saying, hey, we want to pitch, or we're looking for companies to pitch to, you can recommend. You can say, hey, I know this person. I think I can speak to him and find out if they will give us a listening ear. That's value to the person. So you can see building personal value, it's very important because that's the only thing that will attract people to you. When they can see that, okay, for instance, there's so many instances I can use in my case, I guess, but it's like things that I did, like I would travel on my own money just to make connections with people, just to meet people. Like, nobody asked me, there's no agenda, I just want to go and network in another country. And I shared this, like it's a tip. Like, girls, when we want to travel, it's like, oh, I want to do like hot girl vacation. Okay, cool. Like, that's not how you're going to build value. You have to go and you say like, hey, I want to go and learn about different people, learn about different industries,
different cultures.
I learned how I built value for myself was like, I taught myself to bounce around any industry. So anywhere you place me, I can't, like, the wildest, my career is wild to me. It's like anywhere you place me. So I think that the most important thing is, like, in building connections, is you have to come with value. And then something that was very key that I noticed about myself was being very non-transactional with people. It wasn't, for me, I've never seen building a connection with you as something you can give me something. I genuinely want to know you. I genuinely have a heart for people. Over the years, that's what's happened. I've developed a heart for people. I love people. So I'm just like, hey, I want to hear what you're doing. Even if we never speak again, that conversation that we had, I want to be able to share something that impacts you or that helps you. And that really, like, makes people come back and say, like, this person's not looking for anything. And I'm talking about, like, top people. They have something, but, like, I don't want anything. Let it happen naturally if it's going to happen. So yeah.
Interesting. You're someone that is very open online, and that's one of the things that has attracted me to you as a person. You're open to tell people your story, the good, the bad, the ugly. You're open about it, and sometimes I worry, right? There's like a thin line with the social media. Sometimes social media is a crazy place.
Yes, it is.
People, like, with your Twitter fingers, they're easy to comment and have something to say, very opinionated. How you have a vision, you want to tell your story, but you have something to tell the world, and that would require you to be open about your life. How have you been able to protect your sanity, your peace in the process of telling people your story?
I have a goal, like, I have a purpose for sharing. I'm not sharing because I want to share. So before I started sharing my story, it took me a while. It was an instruction from God. And I had no idea. Like, he kept nudging me, like, I should share. I was like, okay, fine, I'll share. And I remember that after that day I shared, that was when, and then I now realized, like, oh gosh, that was a lot to share, because people saw a lot, apparently. And they didn't even see a lot, but they thought they saw a lot. But I think what protects my peace is that I have obeyed. I've acted in obedience to my own maker. And in acting in that obedience, he keeps my sanity. I don't really care about comments. I don't go to comment section to look at what anybody's saying. If you're saying, I think it's fine for people to have conversation. Makes you learn about how people are thinking, but I don't worry about it too much. I'm just like, the people who matter to me is, like, they're my DMs. Oh, I saw you did this. Please, can you help? Oh, I saw you did this. This really impacted me in this way. Oh, I saw you did this. I need some help. I need some guidance. It's how I've been able to mentor people, right? So those are people that really matter. It means the story was shared for them, not for the rest. So yeah.
As a successful woman in the public eye, people have assumptions, man. Oh my God. People, they see you elevating, excelling, flourishing, right? And the first thing that comes to mind, she must have slept with this man they see you in the picture with. She must have done this. She must have done that. How, first of all, sometimes it bothers me that people, that's the first thing people associate a successful woman to. And, like, you as a person, we were talking about how unbothered you are by those comments. And I find that fascinating, because most women, they struggle. We are natural people pleasers, want to please and try to conform. How can we unlearn that way of thinking, of people pleasing, of thinking about what people think about us, when we know the real truth, which is you have a vision, you're pursuing it, you're not going about doing what they claim you're doing. So how can women unlearn that backward mentality?
So caring or not caring about what people say, people pleasing or not people pleasing, is an identity issue. That's about your identity. Now, I'll tell you why I don't care. My identity is firmly rooted in the person who created me. I only care what he thinks of me. It's the only person that matters. You didn't create me. You're not living my life with me. You're not helping me, like, in my everyday. There's no incentive for me to really listen to you. And another thing is, like, I'm very careful who I give my ears to, what I give my ears to, what I give my attention to. I think there's a part of it, me being an entrepreneur, I don't really have a lot of time. That's the first thing. I really do, like, I can barely breathe, like 2 straight hours in a day. So like catching up on those things, it's like, if it's not business related, I'm not really interested. But then there's now the part of like, I'm very aware how allowing certain things that people say, how it can affect you. So I don't want to see it. It's fine if it's said. I don't mind at all. I think that everybody's entitled to their opinions.
Sure.
I think it's fine if you think a certain way of me. It doesn't make your thought of me is not equal to the fact or truth about me. And I'm very aware. Like, I have my own convictions, and like I said, my identity is rooted in God, and in having that firmly rooted, I have peace knowing that, like, whatever you say, whether you say it or not, like, I'm who I say I am.
Yeah.
Whatever I spoke about, like, being an authentic person, like, whatever I'm showing you is really who I am. So it's okay if it's hard for whoever it is to believe that as a successful woman, I'm not doing anything, like sleeping around. It's okay for you to be, maybe because that's what you're exposed to. Maybe that's what you've been used to, seeing successful women sleep with other people. Maybe it's just a thing of media has fed you lies. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's just a misogynistic thing that you think. That's your problem to figure out, not necessarily mine. So yeah.
And this is mostly, these rumors or these assumptions is around men. Right. And you talk about men allyship a lot. Right? You are working with men most of the time. You have to kind of have like a working relationship with these men. And most of women today in this modern age, they're anti-men. No men, don't come near me. No, I can't see a platonic business relationship with a man. What do you think about this?
So I'll say this. I work with both genders, but I work with mostly men at the top. Mostly. So when I'm dealing with management, it's mostly men that I have to, even, like when I'm talking about, like, in fact, management, whatever it is, that's mostly men. 1 or 2 women, but yeah. However, those who I lead, mostly women. So in coming to that, it's like buttressing your point. When you say you can't see yourself having a platonic business relationship, maybe because you've developed a strong feeling of dislike towards men, you are doing yourself a disservice.
Preach.
You are doing yourself a disservice if you say you don't like men. The problem that the world is encountering today was not necessarily just caused by men. It's not a men problem, right? And I think it's really bad strategy. Let me finish that statement. It's not a men problem, it's a people problem. Both men and women have contributed to the patriarchy, the patriarchal system that we are experiencing, to the conditioning of how men think. It's both men and women, right? You have female gatekeepers as well. So I think it calls for a little broadening of minds and perspectives, and understanding that the war is not against men. It's against those people who generally don't believe, men and women who do not believe that women should be advancing to certain levels. And I'm speaking about this in a professional context. There's so many other contexts, right? There's things around like religion, things around culture, society, and all of that. But I'll stick to professional because that's where all of my expertise falls under. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you think that men are the problem, and if you refuse as a career woman to associate yourself, or if you choose to dissociate yourself with men, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I think, coming from a strategic point of view, I think it's wrong strategy to distance yourself and say you will not associate with men. If men are here and that's where you're trying to get to, I'm not saying this is every woman. If this is not you, that's fine, cool. If this is you, you see yourself elevating, rising, you want to be in leadership, I think it doesn't make sense that you don't start to close that gap personally between you and men. I understand that there are certain worries around doing that, and it's very, very valid, but you do need relationships you do need to be able to elevate, and that requires you knowing how to navigate relationships with men and women. Yeah.
You mentioned a word that like caught my attention. That was gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And I think that has people use that word a lot these days. Gatekeeping, and you're someone that you don't gatekeep.
Yeah.
You, Onyeka, you do not gatekeep. You're quite open about your success story.
Yeah.
Right. How have you been able to, first of all, be so open about your career journey? The fact that you're even here today it shows that you're open about telling people your story, and you've been able to monetize that too as well.
Yeah.
So, two questions in one.
Okay.
Right? How have you been able to be so open, not be a gatekeeper to that knowledge, and be able to monetize it for yourself too?
For myself, I would say, I mean, being open is just like, how do I put this? What are you going to do with all of the knowledge if you keep it inside? Like, the knowledge I have now, I've used it. What I need is new knowledge. What I need to do is learn new things. And I think before that, there's like, I'm very aware that knowledge is power. And in giving people knowledge, you're giving them power. And the reason why I can do that is because I'm not threatened by anybody coming up. I'm not threatened by anybody gaining power. It has no bearing whatsoever on the influence I will have or whatever, like my success will be. Has no bearing. It just means that now there's more people who have that influence. There's more people who have that power. And to me, that's fine. I think more people need to be educated, because I think a lot of people are going through things that if only they had insights, their lives will change. Like, so why not share it? I really don't see how it affects me if I tell somebody, like, I think maybe it's a Nigerian thing or an African thing to like always want to hoard information, right? It's like, let's keep it hush, let's keep it between us. Like, and I think it's very, from a women's perspective, it's now starting to come back and bite us in the bottom. What I mean by this is, I've observed a spectrum of women, young, in between, older. The older women who didn't necessarily want to share or who don't like to share, I notice how they don't have capacity. What I mean by that is, when you look at women like Ibukwa Awushika, the reason why she's able to have full expressions of herself, and DDK, Debola Dejikrom, the reason why those women are so powerful and are able to, it's like their influence grew, is because they spread their knowledge and insights. So you can see Ibukwa Awushika today, she's board member, tomorrow she's speaker, tomorrow she's hosting this. How do you think she's able to do that? She's able to do that because she distributed her knowledge. People know what she knows, so they can help her build all the different things that she's building. Do you get what I mean? Like, how do you... The older men don't have capacity because they've refused to share.
You're stingy.
Yeah, and when you refuse to share, you don't have people that help you. So I find a lot of older... I'm speaking... The problem is very multi-layered, but like, for older women, and I say older women because they are the ones who have gone ahead. And in going ahead, it's like, I'm always very shocked. I'm like, wow, you still do this by yourself?
Yeah.
Damn. Even I don't. You know what I mean? Like, you're still doing all of these things by yourself. And that's because you don't want to share.
Yeah.
Because if you shared, somebody would be like, oh, thank you for sharing. I'm inclined to help you. I want to help you build more because you're sharing.
Yes.
So, yeah. In terms of monetizing it, I mean, like, knowledge is, the way I see it, you can either go and spend another 10 years yourself figuring it out, and that becomes way more expensive than if I just showed you and like you paid me, and then you learn it in, maybe it'll take you 1 year to implement, but 1 year is better than 10 years. So again, it's the thing that I see, like, these things are, as much as yes, I'm sharing, at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur. Why I point that out is that people think that, oh, once you are maybe set up the way that I'm set up, they start to feel like you're a philanthropist. Maybe I'll get there. I love giving. I really do. But entrepreneur first, which means that whatever is value can be paid for. And if I create things to solve problems. And so in solving problems, for me to continue solving those problems, I need to get paid because it costs money to actually solve problems.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure. Talking about like sharing what you've learned so far, you're a brand strategist.
Yes.
For young women who they see you online, oh my God, can I do this?
Yeah.
Is this something that I can even venture into?
Yeah.
What advice do you have to just give them that little confidence, that crazy confidence you talk about all the time, to go for it, do it? You've done it, right? So why are you waiting? What are you waiting for, basically?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for them?
I would say being a brand strategist in this time and age is very hard. In this time and age, and I know we come from very different contexts. So I see that when you look at me, you're probably thinking, yeah, but we have brand strategists in like advertising.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, cool. But in the technology space, there are no brand strategists. It's not a thing because people want products, people.
Yeah.
So you don't have brand strategists in technology space. So I would speak to my context to say that if you want to, for me, it's like I'm a tech girl, and what that means is like it's not necessarily like I'm not talking about apps. I'm about how technology on a 360 scale, whether it's via machines that are developed, or whether it's via an app that is developed, how it really helps change lives and solve problems. So I'm doing this to be able to contribute to the development of the technology space. Now, if you want to be a brand strategist in technology, it is a really hard thing to want to pursue, because you have to again know that people think in code and thinking, so what you're saying sometimes might not necessarily resonate with them. But I believe that by doing something that hasn't really been widely done, I've been able to create a blueprint. So whoever wants to marry the passions of brand strategy and technology is very doable.
Yeah.
It's hard now, but I think like we'll be better off for it in the next few years. Yeah, because we're really getting to a place where the tech space is really growing, and there's going to be a lot of need for brand strategists. So yeah, I would say like there's a blueprint now, and that should make it easier. Yeah.
What are you most excited about now, especially in your? This is a very unique. I think it's a very unique time in your life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What are you most excited about generally, and what are you looking forward to? Now this question it seems broad, but I just want you to just kind of in your little way just try to make it all encompassing. What are you most what are you looking forward to?
So I can say more than one?
Yeah, sure.
I'm most excited about building a world-class team. I'm building a school, and the school is designed for professionals that don't have coding skills, so which is the no-code tech professionals. I'm building a school that's designed to help them develop their expertise in strategy and branding. So it's called Strategist in Technology, which is SIT Global. And I think that's the one thing that I'm most like for the future. We're already seeing the impact. Like I wish we had the bandwidth to like be sharing the impacts and be doing the work at the same time. But like we're really seeing how it's changing people, like people getting jobs like being placed through us, people starting like new career lines, people getting promoted, things like that. Like I can just see the future of what that is. And like I think that's the most exciting thing for me. I would say on another front, I'm really excited for helping women really, how do I put it, really develop their influence. I'm excited for that. More women with influence for me means like it's a huge thing for me. Like it's huge. I can't tell you how, but yeah, I'm excited for that, for helping them like multiply the impact that they are making. I'm excited for that. What other things? Yeah, I think that's really it. I think I'm most excited for, what I say, how much I'm going to learn over the next few years, because like my job is really, and like my role in the company is director of programs and learning. So like I'm just like a student, and it's such an exciting job to be doing. So I'm always learning, and so like I'm so excited to just learn as much as I can and keep passing down that knowledge. Yeah.
Wow, today has been very interesting one.
Very.
You agree with me, and I'm sure you guys also enjoyed the conversation we had with Onyeka. I learned a lot about you and about myself along the line. I had so much fun, talking to Onyeka today, and I'm sure you would probably enjoy this conversation. So while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to that red button down there and like and share and tell the world about Beyond the Cubicle podcast. Until next time. Ciao. Bye.